The crowd was loud, cameras flashing everywhere, and the atmosphere felt electric as the interview began. Someone casually asked, "Who was your last FaceTime call with?" She smiled instantly and answered, "Tom." The audience erupted with excitement before she continued explaining that he was currently boarding a plane and trying his best to make it to the premiere. She laughed softly and added that even though he might miss the first event because of work commitments, he would definitely attend the others. The mention of Spider-Man immediately caused another wave of cheers from the audience. It was obvious that people loved hearing about their connection. Their chemistry had become something fans admired around the world. Yet despite all the attention, the conversation still felt natural and personal, almost like listening to two close friends joking around. The interviewer then shifted the topic and asked a deeper question. What's something people should talk about before getting married that they usually avoid? The room suddenly filled with laughter. It was one of those unexpected questions that catches people off guard. She paused for a moment, clearly thinking carefully about her answer, while the audience waited in anticipation. Before she could fully respond, another question quickly followed. What's the biggest secret you've ever kept? Everyone laughed again. She looked slightly embarrassed and amused at the same time. Well, she replied jokingly, that's kind of why it's called a secret, right? The audience cheered loudly. The interviewer playfully pushed further, asking if there was at least one secret she had been keeping recently that she should probably reveal. She shook her head with a smile. No, nothing comes to mind. The interviewer repeated her answer teasingly, almost trying to catch her slipping, but she stayed firm while laughing through the awkwardness. The entire moment felt relaxed and genuine, which made fans enjoy it even more. Soon after, the conversation turned emotional when she was asked which character she had played influenced her the most. Without hesitation, she answered, Spider-Man. The crowd instantly exploded into applause and cheers. That role clearly meant more to her than just another movie project. She explained that growing up through those films changed her life completely. It wasn't only about fame or success. It was about the people she met along the way. She admitted that during the making of those movies, she met her best friend in the world. The audience immediately understood who she meant, and the excitement in the room became impossible to ignore. The interviewer then asked another personal question. Who in your life are you most jealous of? She laughed before answering honestly. She explained that sometimes she becomes jealous of people who naturally have athletic abilities, especially those who can casually do flips and physical stunts. She joked about how frustrating it feels watching someone effortlessly perform backflips while she struggles to understand how they even do it. The audience laughed because the answer felt surprisingly relatable despite her celebrity status. Then came the classic superhero question. Who's your favorite superhero? She smiled immediately. Spider-Man. The audience laughed because the answer felt obvious. But then she quickly added another name. Okay, obviously Batman too. She explained that her answer might sound biased because Spider-Man had become such an important part of her life. Through those films, she got to grow alongside someone she deeply cared about. They experienced life together from their teenage years into adulthood. She reflected on how relationships naturally change over time. People grow older, their personalities evolve, and life constantly shifts. But despite all of that, she still believed there was a special kind of connection that develops when you truly know someone deeply. She described that feeling of safety and comfort that comes from being with a person who has seen every version of you. The interviewer nodded and joked about respecting their privacy while secretly hoping for exclusive wedding news one day. The crowd laughed as they teased her about giving some sort of signal whenever things became official. She laughed through the awkwardness, while the interviewer continued joking about already having matching towels prepared for their future house together. The conversation naturally shifted back towards superhero debates. Fans constantly asked who would win in a fight, Spider-Man or Batman. She admitted that legally she probably wasn't supposed to answer that question directly because of studio politics, but the audience already knew what she was thinking. Then the interviewer asked if she knew Tom personally. She smiled warmly and answered immediately. Yeah, I love Tom. The audience cheered once again. She explained that they had worked together on 3 Spider-Man movies, and during that time they shared countless experiences both on and off set. The interviewer then asked if anything specific came to mind when thinking about him. She paused thoughtfully before giving one of the most sincere answers of the night. She explained that many people become nervous around someone they truly care about. But with him, it felt completely different. She never experienced anxiety or pressure around him. Instead, she felt peaceful, calm, and emotionally safe. Then she said something that made the audience collectively melt. "I actually feel more nervous when I'm away from him than when I'm with him." The crowd reacted instantly with loud applause and emotional cheers. It was one of those rare moments where honesty completely took over the conversation. She explained that this realization helped her understand he was truly her person. Not only did she find love, but she also found her best friend. And for her, that combination meant everything. As the interview continued, the mood became lighter again. The emotional honesty from earlier had already captured everyone's attention, but now the conversation shifted toward playful moments between the couple. Someone asked her a very simple question. "What's your full name?" Immediately, she laughed nervously and admitted that most people probably wouldn't know it completely. She explained that she actually had a middle name and technically even 2 last names, which surprised the audience. The interviewer jokingly tried guessing, but quickly failed, causing everyone to burst into laughter again. The playful teasing between them made the whole discussion feel incredibly natural rather than scripted. Then the topic moved toward something surprisingly modern: AI-generated wedding photos. She explained how strange it felt seeing fake wedding pictures of herself and Tom spreading all over the internet. According to her, the images looked so realistic that many people genuinely believed they were real photographs from an actual ceremony. She described walking around in public while strangers complimented her on her beautiful wedding photos, even though none of them were real. Laughing at the absurdity of it all, she explained how she had to repeatedly tell people, "They're AI. They're not real." The audience reacted with shock and amusement. It highlighted how advanced technology had become and how difficult it was now to separate reality from digitally created content. At one point, she mentioned bringing along a funny video clip, which immediately made the crowd excited again. The atmosphere felt energetic and relaxed, almost like friends hanging out rather than a formal celebrity interview. The superhero debate returned once more when someone insisted that Spider-Man would absolutely defeat Batman in a fight. She laughed loudly before agreeing. In many ways, Spider-Man would kick Batman's ass. The crowd exploded with cheers. She pointed out that Spider-Man literally had superpowers, while Batman mostly relied on intelligence, gadgets, and training. "Come on," she joked. "He has actual powers." The interviewer then asked what the most English thing about her had become recently after spending so much time around Tom. Her answer instantly became one of the funniest moments of the interview. She admitted that she had started unconsciously speaking with random British expressions and accents. Sometimes, out of nowhere, she would pronounce words differently or use British-style phrases without even realizing it. Then she gave a specific example that made the audience laugh uncontrollably. Apparently, she often says the phrase "funny one, isn't he?" but with such a strong British tone that it comes out sounding completely different. She repeated the phrase dramatically while everyone laughed around her. Even the interviewer started copying the accent jokingly. It was one of those adorable habits couples naturally pick up from each other over time. Spending years together had clearly influenced the way she spoke, acted, and even joked. Soon after, the discussion returned to Spider-Man once again. Someone asked whether she had actually seen the latest film. With a playful smile, she answered carefully, "I've seen a little something." The audience immediately reacted with excitement. She explained that the Spider-Man franchise held an incredibly special place in both of their lives because they essentially grew up while making those movies together. Those films weren't just career opportunities, they became memories tied to their personal lives and relationship. She praised Tom passionately, saying he genuinely cared about the role more than anyone realized. According to her, he constantly worked hard to honor the character properly and give fans the best performance possible. Then she confidently declared something fans loved hearing. "He's the best Spider-Man ever." The crowd loudly agreed. Even though she admitted she might be biased, her admiration for him felt sincere and heartfelt rather than performative. The interviewer then joked about London and how romanticized people often imagine the city to be. She laughed and argued that she actually spends more time there than most people assume. Their conversation became playful again as they teased each other about dating experiences. Eventually, the interviewer asked whether she had gone on many dates in her life. She honestly admitted that dating had always been difficult because of her career and public attention. Being famous makes ordinary experiences feel complicated. But more importantly, she explained that her relationship with Tom never really started like a traditional romance. They didn't meet as strangers at a restaurant. They didn't slowly introduce themselves through awkward first dates. Instead, they already knew each other deeply from working together at a young age. They spent years growing up side by side before fully understanding what their relationship would eventually become. She described it as two people who had known each other since they were teenagers slowly realizing that their friendship had transformed into something much bigger. That history made their connection feel stronger and more natural. The interviewer jokingly pointed out that technically they still must have had a first date. She laughed immediately and tried avoiding the question while the audience cheered. The playful embarrassment on her face made the moment even sweeter. By this point in the interview, one thing had become very clear to everyone watching. Their relationship wasn't built only on romance. It was built on friendship, comfort, trust, shared experiences, and years of growing together. And that's exactly why so many people found their story beautiful. Throughout the entire conversation, one theme kept appearing again and again: comfort. Not fame, not red carpets, not movie success, but comfort. The way she talked about him felt different from the way celebrities usually describe relationships during interviews. Most public figures tend to protect themselves emotionally or give carefully prepared answers. But her words felt honest, relaxed, and deeply personal. When she described being around him, she never focused on luxury, attention, or public admiration. Instead, she focused on peace. That single detail revealed a lot about their connection. She explained that being with the right person doesn't always create butterflies or nervous excitement the way movies often portray romance. Sometimes, real love feels calmer than that. Sometimes, it feels like safety. For her, the biggest realization came when she noticed she felt more anxious apart from him than beside him. That emotional security became the clearest sign that he truly mattered to her. The audience connected strongly with this idea because it sounded authentic. Many people spend years searching for relationships that feel exciting, dramatic, or intense, but eventually realize that peace and emotional stability are far more valuable. She also spoke about how important friendship is inside a relationship. Again and again, she referred to him as her best friend. Not just her boyfriend. Not just her partner. Her best friend. That distinction mattered because it showed the foundation of their relationship was built on genuine companionship. They laughed together, worked together, traveled together, and experienced adulthood side by side. Very few couples get the opportunity to grow together through such important stages of life. They met while still extremely young and slowly watched each other evolve over the years. That kind of connection creates deep understanding because both people witness each other's successes, insecurities, failures, and growth firsthand. She explained that people naturally change over time. No one stays exactly the same forever. Personalities shift, priorities change, and life constantly moves forward. But despite all those changes, certain emotional bonds remain strong. And for her, that bond still existed. Another reason fans admire their relationship so much is because they protect it carefully. Even during interviews, she repeatedly avoided oversharing private details. Whenever questions became too personal, she answered respectfully while still maintaining boundaries. That balance is rare in celebrity culture. Many famous couples either completely hide their relationship or constantly expose every detail online. But they seem to have found a middle ground where fans can feel included without knowing everything. The AI wedding photo discussion perfectly demonstrated why privacy matters so much to them. Imagine seeing fake images of your own wedding spreading across the internet while millions of strangers believe they're real. It would feel surreal and invasive at the same time. Yet, she handled the situation with humor instead of frustration. Her ability to laugh about it showed emotional maturity and confidence. The interview also highlighted how deeply interconnected their careers have become with their personal story. Spider-Man wasn't simply another movie role. It represented the beginning of an entire chapter of life. Those films gave them opportunities, friendships, global recognition, and eventually love itself. That's why she spoke about the franchise with so much emotion. For fans, Spider-Man became entertainment. But for them, it became part of their real lives. Even the smaller details from the interview revealed how close they are. The British accent jokes, shared humor, teasing conversations, and comfortable body language all pointed toward two people who genuinely enjoy being around each other. That kind of chemistry can't easily be faked. It develops naturally through years of trust and companionship. By the end of the conversation, the audience wasn't only cheering because they liked celebrity gossip. They were reacting because the relationship felt believable, real, human. In a world where many public romances appear temporary or manufactured for attention, theirs felt grounded in friendship and emotional honesty. And perhaps that's why people continue rooting for them so passionately. Not because they're famous, but because their story reminds people what genuine connection looks like.